The fun really doesn't stop at Newcastle United at the moment, as the Newcastle Chief Operations Officer Bradley Miller has spoken out in his first major interview, saying that Newcastle are ready to write a once-in-a-lifetime cheque to spend on Newcastle's expansion or new stadium. Yes, guys, that's right. Welcome back to a new video in what seems to be the fun and crazy world of Newcastle right now. Loads going on. The season starts on Saturday. The new away strip came out this morning. We've got transfer reports coming out of our ears, and just to add to the fun, a little bit of news with regard to Newcastle's pending expansion or potential new stadium build. We've got a fair bit to get into here, so if you haven't already, be sure to go ahead and hit subscribe. Plenty of videos, as I say, second video today on the channel. So if you've not subscribed, be sure to do so. Keep your eyes out for what's going on. I will be at the game at Southampton this weekend. Very much looking forward to that one. Hoping Newcastle can kick off with a very good start this season. So as I say, Bradley Miller, the new COO. If you don't recognise that name, it's a fairly new one to Newcastle United. Was joined the club just a couple of months ago. Came in with a slightly under the radar announcement from Newcastle United, but certainly with the background and what Newcastle needs to go ahead and start work on St James's Park, or even be involved in things like the Stack. He was part of the multi-billion transformation of the Manchester Terminal 2. So he's got that in his repertoire, and Newcastle United clearly liked what they saw, and he's now come in and, as I said, done his first major interview today, saying that things are really, truly imminent on a decision of what is going to happen with the transformation of St James's Park. In the interview, Miller spoke about the understanding frustrations of the Newcastle fans. I mean, we're now into the second year of this feasibility study. As I've mentioned, he did say that things are really, truly imminent on a decision as to how Newcastle are going to proceed with either an expansion of the stadium, a new stadium, or, I mean, there is the potential they could turn around and say that they're going to do nothing, but that isn't really what appears to be indicated in this interview. As I say, the owners are ready to spend and are committed to investing in the stadium for the future. And I think it actually says the home or the future home of Newcastle United. So it's very, very exciting. As I say, we've seen the Stack go up. Newcastle aren't just sitting around waiting to see what happens. They are making moves. They are trying to be innovative with how they not only improve, I guess, what's going on the pitch, but also off the pitch as well. The Stack has gone down like fantastically well over the weekend with the Cellar Cup. I mean, Darren Eales himself, I think, has also pointed at the Stack as kind of like a vision of how they want to continue to boost and improve St James's Park in itself. And we know that the feasibility study was going underway. If Newcastle want to expand or extend in its current location, it is possible. We know that Newcastle did have architects and people in the know visit the stadium, take a look around the stadium, speak to the stadium staff, and said that it is possible, despite the fact that the East Stand is literally backing up against a listed building. It can be done. It will just cost a hell of a lot of money. And that's kind of what Miller kind of refers to a lot throughout this interview, is that the owners are committed. They want to do what's right. They're willing to spend the money to write this, and I think that's quite key. Write the one-time check. You know, this is going to cost a hell of a lot of money, and then that's kind of what he's kind of going into with the idea, saying that he understands the frustration of the Newcastle fans. It's now coming on to a second year of this feasibility study that most people thought would kind of be done quite quickly. And why is it taking so long? I'll come on to in a minute the talk on the training ground and what's going on with that. Where's the training ground sponsor? Because that was also discussed in this interview as well. And as I say, the idea that the decision is going to be soon. I mean, I'm interested to know from you guys, what would you like the decision to be? Are you for the expansion of the current stadium, or are you starting to push onto the idea of having a brand new stadium in itself? I mean, Darren Eales himself has commented on this before, the idea that Newcastle have the money. Like, the money isn't really the question. The money can be paid. It's what needs to be done right, and make sure that they get it right. Not just from the side of things that if they're going to write this huge check, they don't want it to all... They want to make sure they get it right. But it's also the home of the Newcastle fans, and Miller actually spoke about that as well, that he himself has obviously relocated up here. He's brought his family with him. He understands what the club and the stadium mean to the fans, and that he knows that he's found himself in quite a big position. You know, it's kind of, it's lying with him a little bit as to what, once the decisions come out, obviously he needs to have the backing, he has the experience, and he needs to now make that big decision as to what Newcastle decide to do. Now, obviously, even if Miller knew exactly what we were going to do, maybe it's like an Eddie Howe situation. Harvey Barnes is sat in the next room. The new plastic model of St James's Park is sat in the next room. He's got his blueprints down the back of his trousers. He wouldn't come out and tell us what's actually happening. But I think some very, very strong words that Newcastle are ready to sign that once-in-a-lifetime cheque, that things are truly imminent on a decision being made by Newcastle United. I think there's all kind of times with Amanda Staveley leaving the club as well, because obviously that was a factor, that Amanda didn't really have the cash available to her that the PIF do or that the Reuben brothers do. And if she's going to have her like 10% pay into, and it's going to be a multi-billion pound cheque, or however much Newcastle are going to spend, that I guess it kind of makes sense that maybe she's moved on, and now the real money backers are able to put the cash in there. So as I say, imminent decision on what could be next. I mean, as I say, he did also touch on the training ground. The questions were asked as to kind of what is the plan, and you know, what is happening with the training ground sponsors, because that's something that's been spoken about a fair bit as well, and the line of questioning was similar, and the response was similar as well. He said, you know, that I think he actually used the term sponsors don't fall off trees, and that it takes time to get these things done, and I understand the frustration, I guess, that's to a degree, like impatience of Newcastle, especially when we have the money. We're having to sell our homegrown products. We're having to sell the Yankuba Minter. We've got a training ground that doesn't have a sponsor. You know, you can understand why the questioning would come forward from the fans as to why aren't we doing more to solve that. But once again, I think it's similar to the idea of spending a huge billion-pound cheque or multi-billion-pound cheque on either redeveloping or totally changing. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Is, as I say, the previous architects have gone in and have said that Newcastle can sort these stand out. It can be done. Whether it's some humongous giant glass structure, or whether it's a stadium with a hole in it to let the lights still get to the listed buildings and have a giant stand all the way around the top, or the build over of the Gallagher, the stacks there right now, which I said at the time I think is a smart move by Newcastle, because if we do come to the decision that yes, we can extend the Gallagher to match the Leazes, but we can't do it for another 4 years because we've got the stack there now. So I think that was potentially a smart move by Newcastle to kind of take the pressure off. So even if we do make a decision, it could well take a little bit longer as well. And as much as he has said it's truly imminent on the decision, I would be surprised if, even if the decision is imminent, that things will not change quite a lot before something actually gets done. Or if something does get done, it will take a hell of a lot of planning. And back to what I was saying about the training ground, if you're going to spend a big amount of money, you need to make sure it's right. If you're going to bring in a sponsor for 2 years, you kind of want to make sure that's right as well. I suppose that you forget that we could go out and get a sponsor off Fun 88 again for the training ground. That's not really awe-inspiring. That's possibly not on brand with how Newcastle work anymore. We've brought Adidas back. We're bringing all the classic shirts back. You know, to actually go out and get a random sponsor or whatever is maybe not on brand with what Newcastle are doing. Maybe they would much rather Adidas sponsored in brand new training ground, helped pay for it. Like, that is a way better deal than just Newcastle getting a new $2 million deal with a sponsor that nobody's bothered about. So yeah, it's a good one. It's an interesting one. As I say, it's clear that Newcastle are working on it, because that's another thing, is that it kind of goes quiet and you think, is it happening, is it not? There's a hell of a lot going on right now. There's other things to think about, but it would appear that in terms of off-field workings, that this stadium expansion, extension, rebuild is sitting very highly on the agenda, to the point where they've pretty much brought somebody in Bradley Miller to deal with it as a job. It's not just, as I say, Darren Neal's on his days off having a bit of a mess around on some sort of online planner. Like, they've got somebody in doing it, and it's exciting. It's somewhat nervy as well to see what could be such a big change, and you understand why, if they are going to take that time, they want to get it right, that they don't want to, as I said earlier in this video, to spend money to lose, but they want to make sure they get it right for the fans as well, because it's big. St James's Park has been the club's stadium for a very long time. Things have changed. It has changed over time, has extended over time. I think to extend it again would probably be the safer option, but if you're going to spend that much money, and a new stadium is potentially an option for the future. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on your opinion, and subscribe as well, because as I say, goodness me, second video of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a third. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you later.